Hi, everybody. This is Zach Walters with Biker Realtors. It's December 15th of 2022. This is your weekly market update. I am here, as always, to share with you some national news information about what's happening in the real estate market and also discuss what's happening with local trends to help you better understand what's happening here at home versus what's happening in the news. There's been some pretty big press releases this week because the Federal Reserve had met this week. We also had the core price index come out. It's looking like we've had a little bit of a decrease in inflation. There's a continued dedication from the Federal Reserve to continue to increase interest rates into next year, trying to fight off inflation. And I have a little bit of analysis that I would like to share, or what I think is going on with our market, with how things have been steady, albeit maybe a little bit slow. Some of it's seasonality, but we'll dig into it here in just a moment. Now, I did mention last week in the blog that I had an accident and I needed to get a new vehicle. I did get the new vehicle. I'm not going to reveal what it is quite yet, but I will give you a clue. It is something that can go through snow really well, and it could also, I could drive it off the pavement a little bit. That's the only clue I'm going to give. If you have a guess as to what it is, send me a message or just comment below what you think I might have got. And if you want to get a better sense of who I am, and also get some tips on to better sell your home, I am linking again my recent interview with Jason Hartman at Authority Magazine on tips to help sell your home for the absolute best price. In the interview, we talk about 5 of my best tips for anybody that is looking to sell their home. I also discuss a little bit about my processes with the right fit method, and I talk about myself a little bit and my story, because I think it's important you get to know the person that you're going to work with. Hopefully you like them, but definitely you need to be able to trust them throughout the process to be successful. So like I mentioned, this week, the Federal Reserve met and they did what they said that they were going to do last month, and that was to continue to increase interest rates with the Fed. They went up another 0.5% or 50 basis points. That was expected. Jerome Powell also had commented a little bit on the fact that the Federal Reserve is committed to being steadfast with increased interest rates. It's very likely in January and February and going forward, we're going to see continued interest rate hikes. Even though we've had seven rate hikes over the course of this last year, and we are sitting at the highest interest rate for Fed money since December of 2007, inflation remains high. Good news is, though, that the CPI, or the core price index, which looks at commodity costs and how much those costs have increased year over year, is showing that from last month to this month, we did have a slight decrease in overall inflation. Last month, the indicator is showing a 6.3% inflation. This month is showing about 6%. Now, CPI, or the core price index, removes food and energy costs like your electricity, gas, and those kind of things from the measurement there. That's why it's the core pricing index, not the overall. But that is some general good news, is that we've had a slight decrease in inflation. Definitely doesn't mean that we're out of the woods on that. So as long as we are running hot on inflation, the Federal Reserve is steadfast and committed to continue to increase interest rates going forward. The good thing about that, though, or at least what Jerome Powell had indicated, is that if they'd rather do too much and back off quickly than not do enough and let inflation continue to steadily rise and run rampant. For some local numbers, this week, as of December 15th, between Harrisburg, and Sioux Falls for single family homes, we have 338 available listings. There were 215 houses that went under contract or are pending under contract at this time. That leads to a calculated absorption rate of 1.57. So we actually have less inventory this week than we did in the previous 2 weeks, and we have less available, and we'd run out a little bit faster. Now, for homes sold in the last 30 days, the average days that those homes were on market were only about 55 days. Average sale price was $310,000, and the list to sell ratio was actually a little bit lower at 98.487. Now, I've been tracking this since September, very beginning of September, with my very first market update. I think it was, it was in October 6th. So it's only been a couple months that I've been tracking this, weekly. But here's some of the trends that I've noticed over the last 2.5 months. Is that there isn't any panic selling happening in our market. And what do I mean by panic selling? I think that if people were worried that they were going to lose their home because of the pending financial hardship that we might experience with the economy going into a recession into the next year, I think there'd be a lot more listings all of a sudden happening for people to liquidate those assets or to downsize quickly, so that way they wouldn't fear losing the home because they couldn't pay their mortgage. We're not seeing that. Also noticed over the last couple months that interest rates are what they are. Unfortunately, they are higher than they were in the previous 2 years. But I've noticed since even the beginning of September, when I started looking at this and before I started putting out weekly updates, is that the interest rate today is the best that it's been for mortgages since the beginning of September. So, we've spiked all the way up into the 7% rates. That we're back down around the 6% interest rates if you qualify for that kind of mortgage. But interest rates are kind of what they are. And by all accounts, it doesn't seem to me that the mortgage market is expecting the Federal Reserve to do anything that they haven't already said. So they've built in a lot to account for what they project that the economy is going to do. And so we've seen interest rates go up almost an entire percentage higher than they currently are, and drop down an entire percentage. And it's had an effect, obviously, on our local market and across the United States. But things have been steady, albeit they are slower. I think people are a little more cautious about how they spend their money right now, and they're looking for good value. So that's why it is extremely important that if you are selling your home, that you have a sound marketing plan that best showcases your home. That's part of the reason why I have some tips below with Jason Hartman in the interview segment that I did and had published last week. That's part of the guide that I also link below. The right fit method is to make sure that you have a sound marketing plan that gets the most people the most qualified people looking at your home. So it also comes down to making sure that you appropriately price your home. Again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You can't just put a price on a house and expect buyers to fight over it. Not right now. There's just less buyers in the market because it's harder to qualify for a mortgage. It's far more expensive to get a mortgage at this point in time and to pay a mortgage than it had been for the last 2 years. So it is absolutely crucial that you price your home appropriately and that you get it out to as many people as you can in an effective way that'll draw people's eyes to your home, to get it looked at, to get it shown, and to get an offer on the house. I'm always here to help with that process. And if you would like more information, I've linked the Right Fit Method guide below, or if you want to just send me a message, I'd be more than happy to discuss this with you. Going into next week, we're coming right up to Christmas. I think that I will get a Thursday market update in. I don't want to skip out on anybody that has enjoyed this content. It'll probably be a lighter conversation or a quicker conversation, but I am here for you. Let me know if you have any questions. This has been your market update for December 15th of 2022. I'm Zach Walters. I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll speak with you soon.